Morning, everybody. Or I should say, hey, everybody. Casey's early eye Tom. Saturday morning, we're running late. It's a crisp morning. We're up here at Owatonna, actually at the VFW Club. We are here for a DMR class. It's an all-day deal. We're going to go inside. Hopefully, we're not too late. Hey, everybody. Well, that was a little embarrassing. I got in the truck, went to do a kind of closed wrap-up, and I didn't really hit the start button. We had technical problems, which means I screwed up. So I got home, checked out. Duke had quite upset with me. He didn't come. So I had to get him settled down. And so what we're going to do is kind of review what the class is about. Dan, KD0TGF. Yep. Okay. Make sure I get the call sign right, Dan. I thought he did a very good job on this class. It was a DMR class, all day class, but it was broken down into two sections. The first section in the morning was basic, we'll call it basic DMR or DMR 101 as he was calling it. Then in the afternoon, there was an advanced section, and that was going to run till 7 tonight. And I knew if I was going to hang around, I knew I couldn't hang around till then. But you're encouraged to bring your handheld radio and your laptop. So the first row in the VFW hall was lined up with tables with power. So, and there's guys who were lined up there with their computers going. You know, they're checking the website out. I was, like I said, a couple where you saw the video of me panning the room. I was back a little bit, and Dan started out. He says, if you want to take pictures of my the PowerPoint slideshow with your camera phone, that's fine, but please do not take any videos of what's going on today. That's why I didn't shoot any more videos except for that little section that was before he said something. Then I had to kind of giggle to myself because I counted 4 guys at that front row table on their laptops. They're able to spin their webcam around and they're actually recording him, videoing it. And I thought, well, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to be that person in the room. Like I said, he started out with basic DMR there. Pretty much came out with, you know, who developed DMR, and about half the room says Motorola did. Wrong. I didn't know that. The original DMR was actually a European standard for communication. Motorola took it, brought it to the States, and added the commercial trunking features and some other encryption methods to it, and that's what they're using now for their trunking systems. Then he kind of went through the parts, how it works, what you need for DMR to work, the different parts, the software, the digital to analog and analog to digital converters, what's the difference between amateur radio and professional businessman radios, you know, the hardware-wise, why is the businessman radio more expensive than the amateur radio? It's pretty much down to hardware. Like the front end of a businessman radio, commercial radio, is physically better parts. It's made to be able to be in a strong RF area and still receive that sensitivity to receive that signal. The digital to analog converters are a chip. They're not software like the amateur radio bands are. You know, so they're just a better radio. That's why they cost so much more. Then he talked about the 3 different tiers, which I didn't know about. In DMR, you got Tier 1, which is pretty much European. Then Tier 2, which is amateur radio here in the States. And Tier 3, which is a commercial trunking DMR. Then you had to kind of break off a little bit and explain to some of the people what trunking was. You know, Motorola, you got, say, a 4-channel trunking system. The first channel is just a data channel, the switch channel we used to call it. And that, you know, then you had 3 channels for traffic to be on. You know, with DMR, I didn't realize you can actually time split that channel. So you can actually have 2 separate QSOs going on at the same time, but what they're doing is they're multiplexing the channel. And, you know, he got down with that and he asked everybody okay, and I just had to really bite my tongue. I wanted to raise my hand and says, yeah, but that's not how LTR does it. LTR, the E.F. Johnson system, does it a little bit differently. And then he started talking about more, you know, the cost it is to put up a system, because, you know, the hardware is needed. Then different, you know, they had a bunch of pictures of different amateur radio handhelds and businessman handhelds, mobiles. You know, like I said, it was a very good class. He was going through everything nice and slow. There were the few people that were trying to pull it off, you know, his subject line, what they wanted to know about, kind of steer it in the direction they wanted to. Like once somebody asked, you know, what's the money-making scheme? Why are people doing this? And you got to remember, in amateur radio, you're going to have somebody who's going to go out with their own money, buy the repeater, find a spot, put it up, and allow the general, you know, the general amateur radio people to use it. DMR is the same way. You got people who are going to buy a DMR repeater, all the equipment, the antenna, set it up, get it connected up to one of the control networks, and allow that as an open system. And Dan says it cost him like $10,000 per site to do it. That's just the hardware. That's not counting the tower, that's not counting the electricity, that's not counting the blockhouse to put it in, the monthly rent. So it's, I mean, people do it. Then somebody started trying to get into the political side and says, well, how come these people are doing it this way and it should be done this way? And he goes, you got to remember. And I thought he did a very good job. He stopped, took a deep breath, and pretty much says, you got to remember, this is their equipment. They can run it the way they want. And, hopefully that's how you want it. And, you're going to get that in people. You got to remember, these are all volunteers. And I don't care how many people you have in the room, you're going to have one or two guys who want to do something different from the rest of the team. Now just multiply that by 1,000. Then you got what it is like across the country. Like I said, then when he get back to, he was going through all the different mobile radios, and he brought up an R-Finder, and he says, these are toys. I don't know why they're doing this. R-Finder was a very early, it's still out there, Android radio with an RF deck for VHF and UHF channels. I raised my hand with my comm drive and says, hey, I got one of these, they are great. He goes, I don't use that for every day. I says, I use mine for every day. Then he kind of quickly covered himself saying, it's been a while since I looked at it. Early on, the R-Finders were bad, But on that, then he got into the different control networks. He got Brandmeister, which is probably the biggest control network in the world. He was going through the website on that. I wish I was able to record that. We'll throw up some Brandmeister sites here. And you can actually, you can tell he's been on this site a lot, because he could actually go through and bring up his repeaters, other repeaters. He was talking about how to read the information, the tier 1, tier 2, the time slots, how to get those programmed in on your radio. He was showing that some repeater sites, they have a default, local or nationwide call channel or talk group, or they'd be left open so you can, use a dynamic one. And then he got into some of the other ones that are out there. But Brandmeister is probably the largest one. And I've had to deal with Brandmeister a little bit. So, again, I got bit by the password upgrade rule. That's why I was off DMR for a little bit. I was off for a little bit because I had to get the CommJet repaired, actually refreshed. But like I said, he did a very good job. And then he took a couple minutes to... before lunch, he had a couple minutes. He kind of talked about what he's doing. He formed the South Central Minnesota Repeater Network. There are 16 DMR repeaters across southern Minnesota. They have kind of like a storm spotting crew that covers Steele County, Freeborn County, area along 35 on the west side. He's looking at expanding that. So I'm going to send him an email with my information and get signed up in there. That'd be ideal for me here in Mitchell County and St. Ansgar. Those counties that they operate are to the west, northwest me, and that's how storms have come. So I could easily just sit here and monitor, see how bad the storm is it weakening, is it building? And so I'll be getting that done here shortly. He also put in a plug about looking for more spaces. He's got some repeaters that are ready to go up. He's just looking for sites to put them in. So if you're in southern Minnesota and you think you got a site that Dan could put one up, his email's there. I don't think he'd mind that. All the stuff that he had out there, he had his email address on it. So, and like I said, at the very start of it, he talked about where his life's getting so busy, he's not going to do scheduled classes like he's been in the past. He was telling us that he does 2 a year. But now, the kids are getting older. They're getting into high school sports. Life is changing. This will probably be the last scheduled one. He may do another one later on. He's not sure. He may do one next spring, and he's not sure. So during the break, I went up there and says, you ever thought about just recording this and putting it up on YouTube as a reference for people? And he kind of, well, I cover a lot of stuff besides amateur radio. I get into the digital, the commercial side. And if you ever go to a commercial workshop for DMR, it's $1,000 a head. He didn't want to ruffle the feathers because, he is in the commercial business band radios. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, okay, but I should have talked more to him about it. But there are ways we could, if it's just going to be him at his computer doing a PowerPoint, there's an easy way we could edit out that commercial stuff. And if you're not really aware of it in PowerPoint, there's a way that you can actually do a screen record. You lay down an audio channel as you're going through your slides. Then they'll put it out as an MP4, a video file. And so you could actually just have a quick little video of somebody introducing the PowerPoint, have it run through the PowerPoint, then another little video exit it. But like I said, we'll let Dan do what Dan wants to do. He, like I said, it was a very good class. Keep your eye open for KD0 TGF. When he does any more of these, if he does more of these, it was very, for me, I got a lot of information out of it. I would have loved to have been there for the hands-on, because with my ComJet, I don't have to have a hotspot. I don't have to make up code plugs. I always hear people in the group saying, "Oh, it's so hard to make a code plug. Got to change this, this, and this. And what's the color have to do with it?" I have to make something, but it's on a website, and it's pretty much just plug, 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 and off you go. So, on that, Duke, we going to do something today? Yeah, he's still mad at me. 7-3, everybody. Sorry for the rambling, but it was a very interesting.
Be sure to tell your friends, neighbors, other hams. Subscribe, hit that bell to get notification when new videos come up. Add comments below. 7-3, everybody.